when people are bannering, once again, don't feel like intimidated to where you're like, oh, I don't want to walk up to them. Walk up to them and ask them, what's your organization about? Or what's the purpose? That's another thing. What is the purpose of this organization? Because if the organization that you're joining doesn't have like a purpose, you're probably not going to want to stay in that. And so you need to make sure that what you want from your college experience kind of aligns with the organization.
And welcome back to On Air with Student Affairs, the podcast that showcases all the way you can create your Aggie experience here at Texas A&M. I'm your host, Morgan Miles, and I am the loudest and the proudest member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2026. AAA. Woo! Today, we are talking with Odyssey Butler-Borner, also class of 2026, a double major in communications and international studies with a minor in cybersecurity and a certificate in global media. You are doing a lot. Odyssey is currently serving as the International Second Vice President of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Odyssey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your role as International Second Vice President, and then also just what it looks like to be in a D9 sorority here at A&M?
So I serve for my sorority. So it's International Second Vice President. Within all the D9, they sometimes call it different things. So ours is International Second Grand Anti-Bacillus. And that pretty much just means that I'm an advocate for undergraduates. So when it comes to any type of programs, I'm in charge of creating initiatives, making sure that we're meeting our pillars, so sisterhood, scholarship, service, and just combining or bringing together undergraduates with the grad chapter, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course. And tell us a little bit more about D9 and what does D9 mean for those who may not know?
So D9 or the National Panhellenic, National Panhellenic. So pretty much D9 is historically Black African-American sororities and fraternities. And so that just means that our organizations, like I said earlier, are built off of that scholarship, service, and then sisterhood or brotherhood if it's a fraternity. And our main purpose is really just to give back to the community. We are very service-oriented, and we just want to see not only our community, but the community in general get better.
Awesome. I love that. So what does it mean to get to represent your campus and your sorority on an international level?
Honestly, it's kind of surreal. It's so nice being able to, knowing that I was here. I've participated in lots of organizations on campus, but being able to go on an international scale and not only represent myself, represent undergraduates, represent my university, it's a really nice experience. And just being able to put myself in a position to where I can bring others along with me, it's very fulfilling.
I love that. So what else are you involved in? You said you're in other organizations.
So previously, now this position takes a lot of my time. I still spend a lot of time going to other organizations, events, and stuff like that. I serve on the collegiate level of MPHC with, like I said earlier, National Panhellenic Council. And then that's pretty much it now. Before I served as president at some point with my sorority. I also served as community outreach for BSAC, which is Black Student Alliance Council, and vice president of NAACP, which is also here on campus.
I love that. You're involved in a lot. So what is it like to manage all of that? Like, what does time management look like for you, balancing all of that in school?
Okay, so that has definitely been something that I've been having. So I've been pretty good when it comes to time management. However, this international position, even though I was preparing for it, like I've been preparing for this since I announced that I was going to run, which was earlier this January. So I was trying to mentally, get ready, prepare myself, and somehow still I don't feel like I gave it the credit it was due. Somehow So typically I'm having to travel. It can be like about a week out of every month, it seems like. So I've traveled. August was when we had our boule, which is when we were elected into. September, I went to the Congressional Black Caucus Leadership Conference. And so that was in Washington, D.C., and I was gone for a week. And then this, actually, I believe it was the week before last, I went to Baltimore, Maryland. And so just knowing that I have to manage that on top of my schoolwork, and I also still work, it's definitely been a lot, but it has been something that I'm trying to get adjusted to. I'm trying not to be too hard on myself because this is something new for myself, and so I've just been kind of using this time to, get used to it and just manage my time that way. But I will say that it definitely has improved, and I'm about there, I would say.
Yeah. So what does being a leader mean to you, and how have you learned those skills through getting involved on campus? Because obviously you're in a very large leadership role.
So I would say that being a leader, if that's what was asked, so how to be a leader, honestly, it's really just listening to the people that you serve. And always trying your best to get feedback so that you can better serve them. That's the main thing.
Right.
So even though you might be in a position of like quote unquote power, at the end of the day, it's about the people that you serve. So one of the main things that I try and do is get feedback. How did you like when I did this? How can I better your experience? And once you do that, it becomes kind of like a cycle to where everything's consistently getting better because you're getting that constant feedback. But pretty much that, having basic things like making sure that you're respecting everybody, making sure that you're not too stagnant, that you're always willing to change and for the better. Just small things like that create that leader, I would say.
Yeah. So how has being in that leadership role impacted you personally? Like, what has it taught you?
So far, I will say one of the biggest things that I have probably learned while being in this position for the 80 days that I've been in this position, professional development. I feel like I've learned a lot. Now, I've always been pretty decent at speaking, but just like presenting myself in a way that I can somewhat like market myself to other people, feeling comfortable in spaces that I'm not used to, and just kind of like having that confidence, being able to walk around and it's like, I belong here.
Right.
Another thing that I will say that has definitely kind of like skyrocketed, I feel like, is just like feeling a sense of duty when it comes to like civic duty, and just learning as much as I can, because I feel like previously I knew about it, but the conferences and events and stuff that we've been having to put on has definitely opened my eyes, not only about the importance of like simple things like voting and stuff like that, but also how to get a ballot, like knowing those things are important for your community. And so that's definitely something that I feel like has benefited me for not only just now, but in the future as well.
Right. I love that. So what made you want to join Greek Life on campus?
So it actually started in my local school, where I go, or where I lived. I live in Dallas. And the school district that I was in, it had a lot of members of the Divine Nine that were my teachers, administrators. So that kind of shaped me to where I knew about it. I wasn't quite sure where I kind of wanted to be at, but I knew that whatever they were doing, I was like, whatever they're doing, I want to do it too. You know, like I need that in my life as well. And so after that, once I got to college, you know, that wasn't necessarily the first thing that was on my mind. My first thing on my mind was, especially as a first semester freshman, it was like, how do I adjust, you know?
Right.
How do I, you know, I was trying to get used to things. But by second semester, I was like, once again, been knowing that I wanted to be a part of the Divine Nine.
Right.
But I was like, okay, I'm ready. I had made my decision, and I was like, I want to go for this, you know? And so, Yeah, that's the main thing. And I think it kind of helped that my parents are also in education. And my sorority specifically, our founders are like educators. And so I feel like that kind of, it was a subconscious thing. It wasn't on the front of my mind. But especially after I became a member, I was like, this makes so much sense. Like, this actually aligns with my life. So, yeah.
Okay. I want to touch, you said your parents are educators. Are they involved in the D9 at all?
No, I'm actually the first person.
Really?
Yes, I'm the first person in my family to be a part of the Divine Nine. So that's another thing that's kind of cool, being able to go back to my family and not only show them my accomplishments, because every day, one, they might not understand anything that I'm talking about, but they know that they're proud of me, you know? And so being able to know that and feel that support, it's like, it's such a great feeling. Because once again, they might be like, I don't know what that is, but I know that whatever it is, it's good. And so congratulations. So yeah, I know lots of people have like Greek people, Divine Nine people in their family. And so that shapes them a lot, but it's kind of cool being able to go back and teach my younger sisters or teach my brothers like about the different fraternities and sororities and be able to expose them to things such as that.
Yeah, I do think one thing, I'm involved in Theta here, and I think one thing that's really interesting about sororities is like my parents were not involved in anything Greek like at all. And I think it's interesting, like you said, to like go back and tell them the things, like even though they have no idea what you're talking about. They're just like, okay, like I know nothing about Greek life. Like this is like gibberish to them. But like seeing like the outcome and seeing like the service that you do and seeing like the impact you're having on people and like how much money you're raising, all the things and like how it's shaping you as a person, I think it's cool to see them like slowly be like, oh, like this is a really cool experience like for my child to have. And I really love that. I love Greek life. So how has that experience kind of helped you find your place here at A&M?
So I will say that one, just being within Greek life here on campus, it's allowed me to have so many different experiences, just the stuff that we've been afforded to go to. So for instance, I think most recently, I was on Good Morning America. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Like, you don't just... and it's because I was able to go through fraternity and sorority life, and they let a couple of people go. And so that was so cool. And, you know, I wasn't expecting to even do anything too crazy there. But even on there, they had me, like, model some like, gear, you know? So stuff like that, that's really cool. And so stuff like that is not something that if I was just to be going to class every day and coming straight back home, that's not something that I would get to experience. So having those experiences and just being able to participate in different activities that the office holds, it's been very beneficial.
That's like the coolest thing I've heard all day.
Right.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, so like what was that like? Like how did you get to do that?
Okay.
Like what was that?
We received emails. So I think each council, you know, like they had some people come. And so now I had to get there. First of all, I had to wake up early. Yeah. Like 5-something in the morning. I think the report time might have been like 6:30, 6:45, something like that. We get there, you see the Yale leaders, you see Rev, like Lady Rev was there, you know? So we saw like a whole bunch of people and, you know, we're practicing doing the runs and stuff like that. And so it was really cool. And it definitely was an experience because I had not seen it that up close before.
Right.
But yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love that. So you also work in the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life. So what have you learned from being a student worker on campus?
Okay. So student worker in general, I feel like I've learned a lot about professionalism, but working specifically within fraternity and sorority life, I definitely used that chance to learn as much about all of Greek life as I could. So I've been able to learn about, like, for instance, I didn't know what rush was like for CPC until I was on the other side having to answer phone calls from parents asking about like the rush process. And so I had heard of it, but being able to like read through the information and learn as much as I could about that, as well as just MGC, like learning about their councils as well. And they have like amazing events that I love going to. And I've had more chances to attend those events because I work in the office. Also, just hearing from the different advisors. All of the fraternity and sorority life advisors are Greek. And so it's been really nice hearing about their experiences and just different perspectives because I think we have, we have advisors from CPC, MGC, as well as MPHC. So just seeing that all together has been really nice.
So can you explain the different councils for people that may not know what they are? Okay,
so, okay. And you can help me out when it comes to CPC because you'll probably know a little bit more than me. But MPHC, like I said earlier, is historically African-American fraternities and sororities. Now, that does not mean that's exclusive. It's just historically. So anybody is free to join. And all the fraternities and sororities, they typically have a very strong focus on service. And there's also that component of like fraternity. So that's sisterhood or brotherhood, just, coming together. And then MGC is Multicultural Greek Council. So there's lots of different fraternities and sororities within them. And that can range from like more Hispanic fraternities and sororities as well as Asian fraternities and sororities. And so really nice. And they always have something going on. Let me see, what else?
I know there's IFC.
IFC, yes.
That's the fraternities.
Yes.
So that would be your fraternities like Pike, Teak. I don't know like the actual names of them, but I know like the abbreviation. So you have like Pike, Teak, Sig Ep, Alpha Sig, those. That's going to be your IFC. And then you have CPC, which would be your sororities, which is where you see recruitment and rush and all those things take place. So that's going to be Alpha Chi Omega, Alpha Delta Pi, Kappa Alpha Theta, Kappa Kappa Gamma, those type of sororities.
And I know a couple of the... within MGC, I can do theirs because they have like a whole bunch. But one SLGs, so Sigma Lambda Gamma, Sigma Lambda Beta, Katie Chi, like those are a couple. And then also for MPHC, besides my illustrious sorority, we also have like Alpha Phi Alpha, Alpha Kappa Alpha. Kappa Alpha Psi. So there's 9. I'm not sure if I said that earlier, but there's 9 members of the Divine 9. Oh, I guess it's in the name. So,
yeah, Divine 9. There's 9.
Yes, there's 9
sororities and fraternities, right?
Yes. So instead of them being separate, they're all together.
Yeah.
And so, yes, Omega Psi Phi, Zeta Phi Beta,
Delta.
Yes, Delta Sigma Theta, Phi Beta Sigma. I feel like Iota Phi Theta. I feel like I have to say everybody now. I don't want anybody to think I'm forgetting about them.
How many have we done?
I feel like I said them all.
Iota, a.k.a. Delta, Zeta.
I already said them. The Sigmas.
Qs.
Yeah. Omega Psi Phi. Yep. I think that's all of them. I'm pretty sure I named them all. Yeah, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, that was really chaotic.
Yeah.
We were having too much fun doing that.
I'm pretty sure we have them all.
Yes. Okay. So you're also studying a lot of things.
I am.
As we read. I'll go back and read that again for everybody because that was a lot so we can really focus. So you're a double major in communications and international studies with a minor in cybersecurity and a certificate in global media. How in the world do you balance all of that on top of everything else that you do outside of school?
One thing that I learned, and I had to learn this after freshman year, because I didn't do this freshman year, and I was stressed because of it. But by sophomore year, I realized, Odyssey, you need to talk to people in your classes. You need to make connections in these classes so you guys can help each other. And so I'm not going to say that's the only way because still, I'm going to be very honest. Sometimes it is a little hard because I'm like, oh, no, I have this assignment. Like right now, I have 2 assignments due, and I'm going to make sure that they get done. And it's not only that, but it's also balancing how can I make sure that I'm having fun and I'm not just working, you know? And so that's been my thing for the past 3 weeks. I'm like, okay, I'm tired. and I just keep going, but I haven't been doing anything funner for me. But going back to the classes, the main thing that I do, I make sure to talk to people that are within the classes. Be friendly, reach out. Hey, how are you doing? Oh, how did you feel about that homework assignment that we had? If they're struggling too, that's a perfect opportunity for you to talk to them so y'all can figure it out together. And then find one more person that does know what they're talking about. Yeah. And so just reaching out, making those connections in class, that helps a lot in the long run.
Yeah. So do you know what you want to do when you graduate?
So I'm a little bit open. So now, and I feel like it's also been the experiences that I've had since being in this position. I don't know. So I really want to work in corporate. So after I finish graduating, after a couple of years, I want to get my MBA. And so that's kind of my goal. I'm still trying to figure out if I want to work more within, like I said earlier, corporate, or if I want to work more for the government. Like there's so many different avenues. And I really do love communication. So like corporate communication is really interesting. And I feel like that's something that I would want to look into doing in the future, or even like policy making, like stuff like that does interest me. So I'm still trying to figure out where specifically I want to go. Like, what if I want to do consulting? Like there's so much stuff.
There's so much under communications, and I know there's a lot of communications major haters. They
make me so mad.
It's such a broad major. Broad. There's so much you can do with it.
The first thing, and I had to get over this. And I had to start letting it roll off my shoulder, because this is not just like a specific incident, Like I remember when I first came, they were like, communications, what are you gonna do with that? What can you not do with that? Like it's okay. It's broad, but it's broad in a good way, especially if you like maximize all of your opportunities while in it. I remember, and I saw like another college student went to a different campus, and he was like, you went to Texas A&M to get a communication degree? I was like, yes. Yeah. Like everybody can't be, or not even can't, everybody doesn't want to be STEM, Like what's wrong with the arts? If everybody is a doctor, engineer, if everybody is like doing those types of things, who's going to be your teacher? Who's going to be like, there's so many other positions besides the traditional STEM. Because originally that's what I was thinking I wanted to do when I was younger. Because I was like, I was good at it. And so I was like, oh, I'm good at it. Surely I should do it. And then I started, because originally I was thinking about possibly transferring out of communications, but literally after first semester, I took my classes, and I was like, I took the 2 classes that for sure like solidified. I was like, oh, like I want to stay in communications. I took international communications, and I took intercultural communications. I enjoyed those classes so much, and like just learning about how different cultures like communicate to where I was like, I want to stay in communications. I love this, you know? And so stay in communications. Communications is good.
And I think something else you can like get from it is like, you want to work for the government, and like I want to work for sports media and be a sports reporter. So it just goes to show like how broad of like a major it is, because those are like 2 totally different things on 2 totally different ends of the spectrum. But I think that's why I love communication so much too. So my last question to you, and I think I'm going to break this up into 2 parts. Okay. So what advice do you have for new students, transfer students, or like anybody that basically hasn't joined anything? What's your advice for them on like getting involved and like being involved on campus?
Okay. So if you're going here specifically, one thing that I will say is, I forget what it's called, but you know the thing where everybody comes, it's usually on a Sunday where everybody comes, and it's open house.
Yes. MSC
Go
open
to
house.
MSC open house so you can see all the different organizations that are there. You can go around to the different tables. They typically have flyers, and you can hear about the organizations that you're thinking about joining. Not only that, typically towards the beginning of the year, there's lots of tabling. So whenever you have a chance, it's not weird to just go up to a random table and just be like, hey, tell me about your organization. Like, it's not weird. And so make sure that you're doing that. When people are bannering, once again, don't feel like intimidated to where you're like, oh, I don't want to walk up to them. Walk up to them and ask them, what's your organization about? Or what's the purpose? That's another thing. What is the purpose of this organization? Because if the organization that you're joining doesn't have like a purpose, you're probably not going to want to stay in that. And so you need to make sure that what you want from your college experience kind of aligns with the organization itself. And now make sure that you actually stay within the organization. Another thing that I would say is make those connections. Take a friend. Sometimes you just need a friend to kind of give you that motivation in order to go around to the different orgs. Maybe you are intimidated when you're by yourself, but bring a friend and just try out the different organizations together and see what you like. I would say that's the main things. And just feel free to get out of your comfort zone. I know that was one of the things that I did struggle with when I first came. I was like, oh no, like, I don't want to try this. Like, I've never done this before. Or I just felt so like to myself to where I didn't allow myself to experience fun. And so I would say, just be willing to try new experiences, because everything here on campus might not be like how it is at home, So just be willing to try new experiences and have fun.
Yeah. And then my second part of this question is, what advice do you have for people that are wanting to join D9?
So one thing that I would suggest, it's very important to go ahead and learn about the organizations beforehand. If you're already kind of thinking about it, you're like, oh, I've seen them do this. Like, I've seen them doing all this community service, and I've seen them at their step show, and I've seen them, on campus giving back. Go ahead, research nationally, so go to their national websites. It's pretty easy to find them. And just look like, oh, okay, what are their ideals and what's their why? Learn a little bit about the history. Then after that, look on campus, how is this organization specifically on campus? After that, I would just go to their events, Go to their events, attend as many events as you can, and interact with the people within the organization. So that way, when it does come time and you're making your decision, you can make, I'm losing the word right now, but you can make a holistic decision.
Like an informative decision.
Yes, thank you. An informative decision about what specifically you want to join. Because it is a little bit different. We don't do the typical rush week. Our process is to where you you do have to know beforehand before you start doing like your applications and stuff like that. You want to kind of already have an idea. So go to as many events from as many of the sororities or fraternities as you want. So that way, after that, you can make an informed decision and join the sorority or fraternity that you want to.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us about your time here at A&M and your story and how cool you are.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you.
For more information on how to get involved through the Division of Student Affairs, go to text.ag/create-your-Aggie-experience. And you can find all of these episodes on Air with Student Affairs on your YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Thanks, and gig 'em.